All right, let's get right into it. We're going to peel back the layers on a story that honestly sounds like something out of a spy movie. It's a story that connects presidents, princes, and billionaires through this incredible web of secrets, surveillance, and just massive scandal. And it all comes back to one guy and the explosive files he left behind.
So picture this. You're walking into a massive 7-story mansion right in the middle of New York City. But when you get to the entrance, the first thing you see isn't some fancy art or a vase of flowers. No, it's dozens of fake eyeballs just staring right back at you. And it just gets weirder. You step inside into the main hall, and there's this sculpture hanging from the ceiling. It's a bride, hanging from a rope. I mean, the whole vibe is just designed to be unsettling, right? It's this bizarre mix of power and total paranoia. And on top of all that, no matter where you go in this house, you just get that creepy feeling that you're being watched. And you know why? Because you are. There are hidden cameras absolutely everywhere, recording everything. We're talking living rooms, bedrooms, even the bathrooms. So where are we? Well, welcome to the world of Jeffrey Epstein. This was his New York townhouse. But you've got to understand, this wasn't just a home. It was basically a stage, a meticulously designed trap where the most powerful people on the planet would come to meet, to talk, and, as the story goes, to be secretly recorded.
So the big question is, who exactly was coming and going from this house of secrets? Well, you don't have to look much further than the photos he had on display. They tell their own crazy story. This wasn't just some hangout for Wall Street guys. It was a global crossroads for the most influential people alive. And this is what's so wild, the sheer range of people Epstein was photographed with. I mean, look at this list. You've got the Pope, a tech visionary, a communist dictator, and 2 opposing US presidents. It's insane. He built this image of himself as the ultimate connector, the guy who could get you in any room. And the question that has haunted this case from the beginning is, why? What was the end game? For years and years, this whole story was just whispers and rumors, stuff you'd hear about but could never prove. But then, on January 30th, 2026, everything changed. The whispers turned into a deafening roar. That's the day the U.S. Justice Department released a mountain of documents that just blew the lid off this entire scandal. And it implicated a circle of people so wide, nobody saw it coming. And when I say a mountain of documents, I'm not exaggerating. We are talking about an absolutely massive data dump, 3.5 million pages. Think about that. This wasn't just a list of a few new names. No, this was a detailed inside look at his entire operation, all documented in his own words, through his own emails, his calendars, and thousands of photos and videos. So, inside these files, you had confirmation of a lot of the usual suspects, right? Presidents, prime ministers, royalty, global billionaires, you name it. But this release had a bombshell that no one was expecting. For the very first time, the documents laid out these extensive links to really prominent figures in India, connecting this whole sordid affair directly to the highest levels of Indian business and politics. Okay, this brings us to the absolute core of the mystery. How did a guy who dropped out of college with a source of wealth that nobody can really explain build this unbelievable network of influence? Well, the files point to an answer. And it's not just about money. It's about a highly sophisticated system of surveillance and potential blackmail. And if you want to know just how pervasive this surveillance was, listen to this. One of his victims, a woman named Maria Farmer, she described a media room in that mansion that had a wall of monitors showing live feeds from hidden cameras all over the house. Her description is just chilling. She said she saw monitors labeled toilet, toilet, bed, bed. She was like, I'm never going to use the restroom here. It's just total, inescapable observation.
So when you put all the evidence together, the alleged process becomes pretty clear. It's like a three-step playbook. Step one, lure powerful people to his homes, these totally controlled environments. Step two, record everything they do, and I mean everything. And step three, control them with that information. And this isn't just a theory. When the FBI raided his home, they found a hidden safe stuffed with CDs, all meticulously labeled with names, a literal library of potential blackmail material. All right, so now let's zoom out and see how this all connects into a global picture. Because the files don't just describe a system, they name names. They point to the actual people allegedly caught in this web. So let's take a look at some of the most high-profile figures. And this just gives you a little taste of the sheer scale we're talking about. You've got British royalty with Prince Andrew, whose connection forced him into a massive multi-million-pound settlement. Then you have the titans of tech, Elon Musk and Bill Gates, both of whom had meetings and communications with Epstein that are now public. And of course, former President Donald Trump, whose name pops up over 4,500 times in the files, often linked to FBI tips and various allegations. It's just a staggering who's who of the global elite. But like I said before, the really big new bombshell from these 2026 files was the India connection. The documents lay out, in detail, an apparent effort by a major Indian industrialist, Anil Ambani, to use Jeffrey Epstein as a kind of backdoor channel into the Trump White House. And this timeline here, this is built directly from emails and text messages found in the files, and it is incredibly specific. You can see Ambani asking Epstein for guidance on dealing with the White House. It all leads up to a meeting at Epstein's creepy mansion, get this, on the exact day of India's 2019 election results. And right after that meeting, Epstein shoots a message to Trump's top advisor, Steve Bannon, saying, "Modi on board." And this quote right here is the real kicker. Ambani's message says, "Leadership would like your help." So he's not just acting for himself. He's explicitly saying that he's seeking these meetings on behalf of leadership, which, of course, everyone interprets to mean high-level officials in the Indian government. I mean, think about it. He was using a convicted sex offender as a political go-between. Okay, now it is really important to be crystal clear about this next point. The files do not show any direct contact between Prime Minister Modi and Jeffrey Epstein. None. Modi's name only shows up when Epstein is talking to other people about him. The most talked about example is an email where Epstein basically claims he advised Modi on his 2017 state visit to Israel. For their part, the Indian government has completely dismissed this, calling it nothing more than the trashy ruminations of a known criminal. So you'd think that with 3.5 million pages of documents, this case would be closed, right? But it's the exact opposite. This story is so far from over. In fact, the files seem to raise way more questions than they answer. And they all point to this profound lack of justice and a whole bunch of really troubling loose ends. And this right here really shows you the core problem in black and white. You have hundreds of powerful, influential people implicated in this network in some way, as associates, as clients, as enablers, hundreds. And how many people are in jail for it today? One. Just one person, Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. Think about that. A massive global network and a single conviction. And the mysteries just keep piling up. For one, we know that roughly 40% of all the identified documents are still unreleased. They're still being kept secret. Then you have the mysterious deaths. Key figures, like the French modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel, died in a Paris jail, supposedly by suicide. Even Prince Andrew's main accuser, Virginia Giuffre, reportedly died by suicide in 2025. You see this pattern of secrecy and death, and it fuels so much more suspicion. Which, of course, brings us back to the biggest question of all. The official story is that Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide in his jail cell. But when you step back and look at the sheer number of presidents, prime ministers, princes, and billionaires who were tangled up in his network, all of them with who knows what secrets to protect, you just have to ask, was it really suicide? Or was he silenced to make sure the secrets of the world's most powerful people died right there with him?